Okay, we're doing pick a card. Actually, we're going to pick a crystal. And it's for a message from Spirit. So this is going to be pick 1, pick 2, and pick 3. And we'll start with pick 1. Okay, pick 1. I'm actually just going to place these to face me, okay guys? Something's coming into balance. There's some sort of gift being achieved. Something that took a long time maybe to come to your awareness. You got Earth Angel, Leo. So you're going to be expressing this gift, I think. Trickster, South Node. So maybe there was a lot of confusion in the past where you weren't sure about somebody in your life. It took a while to create a new story and bring things into balance and find the truth of something. But this is something that's shown in your astrology, and it may be beneficial for you to get an astrology reading. But it is showing that there was a lot of skepticism around something. Now this had to do with a past life where you may have been victimized. And the feelings were still kind of lodged there as baggage to your soul and needed to be balanced out. So this came in the form of a relationship with somebody that you cared about, or the way that you related with people that you care about in general. Maybe the figure was somebody very strong and powerful, and there was this slight tension that you always felt, but the relationship progressed to kind of a new start where you got to see things from a different perspective, and this affected your public standing, your reputation, maybe the public standing of the relationship. And we got a time period of 48 hours here. And Hybris is, I believe, the one who was weighing the scales. So there's a lot about coming into balance here. In a situation where there was a lot of skepticism, maybe some trickster energy, but finding the truth of the matter, maybe through an earth angel, maybe just realizing your own ability to be connected with those kind of energies, finding your truth, your Christ consciousness, your unconditional love, to be used for yourself, of course, in the situation where you were victimized. And this doesn't say anything more about that, right? It doesn't say what this relationship is, where it's going. It doesn't say what the purpose of this was, other than that it was in your chart. It's just kind of acknowledging that you've had this situation arise. Okay, and that's all this reading is doing. A message from Spirit would be that this is what you've been going through. If you felt some situation when in a relationship where you were skeptical, where you thought you were being victimized in some way, and maybe overpowered in some ways, and then you got to see something from a different perspective, there's a gift in that. There's a gift in finding the balance in this situation. So I think that's the message. And if you haven't already, you may have created a new story, for yourself in this situation. And it's asking you to do that if you haven't already, a much more balanced situation. So that would involve honoring the way you feel, acknowledge, validate, accept, and love the way you feel, and then looking at the way the other person, acknowledge how they may feel or how they are acting, validate why they may feel that way, accept that this is the way they are, and then if you can, have compassion for the other in this situation. So that would be a separate thing after you had honored your own self in the ways that you had felt victimized. So basically this is a way to clear out karma, clear out an energetic loop that's been happening on Earth in which you carried in to this lifetime from a past lifetime. You're balancing the scales on something. It's like strictly it's a spiritual lesson. I mean, it's a spiritual work. It's spiritual work. It's not like you're being punished, Okay? I think that's important to know. I hope that's helpful to you in some way. And we shall look forward to seeing you next time. Thank you. Pick one. Okay, pick two. Let's see what we have here. Some type of spiritual situation with an expired soul contract. Hermes. So perhaps it was a relationship that has just ended because it taught you some things about the laws of the universe, perhaps, or they were playing out in the situation. But the situation had cut you off from something that you're meant for. So it was like there was a concentration of that situation so that you would learn the skills you need to be unlocked and go forward. And that's what's been going on. It's a part of your plan here. And what was changing is the way that you perceive something. Okay, you were kind of locked into a situation which has now expired, but it was that you needed to see something from a different view. Yes, this precise angle that you were looking at things in. And it may have had to do with a situation you were keeping hope for. So maybe you kept hope even after the contract had expired. Things were maybe comfortable enough, smooth enough. You were easily able to talk your way out of difficulties, or talk yourself out of ending a situation that maybe needed to be ended. But it did eventually start affecting your health negatively. And so this was for you to understand. You were supposed to understand that this was cutting you off from not only your health, but something that you're meant to go forward with. And hope may have been the thing holding you back in this particular case. It was meant for you to see something different, something spiritually different. Maybe see something 3D from a spiritual perception. Okay? So it is time for that soul contract to end. It doesn't mean that, you may not start another soul contract with the same person, but this is asking you to understand this situation. Okay? So usually when we want to understand a situation, we're adding love to it, we're resolving it, we're accepting it as it is so that we can move on. But mostly I would think that the big thing here was for your health. It's like, sure, you've learned to get by in this situation, but look at the health. And you may have attributed your health issue to some other reason. But in actuality, it's the stagnant energy of staying in the perspective you were in order to allow this soul contract to continue. And the soul contract could have been a person, but it may have been just a situation. So you'll know best what it means for you. A situation that you kept hope in. Okay? And it was really like a ripe situation, but it was definitely holding you back. Alright, I hope that's helpful, pick 2. And thank you for spending your time with me. I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Okay, pick 3. Let's see what we have for you. Pick 3, this is about a relationship, how you get along with somebody else, what kind of light is shined on a situation that wasn't clear. The sun was shined on a situation where there was illusion in a relationship with another. There may have been alcohol as an influence in the situation. Abusive patterns may have been present, or they may have just been appearing to be present. But it's very possible that the light was shown onto these patterns, and you kind of had to look into the subconscious, or you noticed the patterns, and that's where they are from, is the subconscious, and maybe realize that you needed to cut something off so that you could proceed on to your destiny. Maybe you thought this was your destiny, but it was an illusion. It was like you had beer goggles on or something. See, when you thought it was your destiny, did it cause you more anxiety? Because that may have been an indication. Or just you may have anxiety and it may be causing you to want to indulge in alcoholic beverage. There may be some very primal urges that could be considered abusive patterns, and they could be being perpetrated against yourself or another. But the purpose of having them in your life is so that you can transcend them. So it's not wrong, you're not bad, nothing's gone wrong here. It's just that in your situation, you've been brought into a relationship with someone so that you could see certain patterns that aren't working anymore, that need to be cleaned up and loved, really. You're just finding the truth of the matter in situations where maybe in the past you would have just cut this off, but this is a spiritual kind of lesson type thing where you'll want to just see the truth and face it. Look for the higher meaning in the situation, through the drama and the grief. You know, there is a purpose for drama and grief and avoidance and addiction and abusive patterns and cutting people off and finding patterns and looking for the truth. Like, this is what life is. And we've got the Iris here. Iris is the rainbow bridge builder, along with Sagittarius. We're building a bridge from this very 3D way of experiencing life, with anxiety, worry, not trusting self, falling into abusive patterns and avoidance patterns and not knowing the truth of a matter, to bringing that up to acceptance for what that is. That's a pattern that's existed on Earth for a long, long time. And instead of being accepted, it was avoided, suppressed, denied, brushed under the carpet, not talked about, stigmatized, judged, everything except loved, and it needed to be loved. So this pattern needs to be loved. It's going to take a very special, strong person, a person who can withstand and with all of this, to love that pattern. So it needs to be acknowledged, each pattern, validated, like, why does this pattern exist? Why am I wanting to cut people off? Why am I having anxiety? Why do I have this feral urge? Why do I feel like being in this abusive pattern? Why do I feel like using alcohol? Why do I feel unclear in this matter? Why do I need to delve down into my subconscious? Why am I in grief and drama? Okay, and then accept that that's where you are on each pattern, And then love the part of yourself that feels that way. Love the part of self that wants to avoid the feeling. Love the part of self that doesn't trust self. Love the part of self that wants to act in the urge. Love the part of self that wants to cut people off. Love the part of self that wants to knock people down a peg. You know, and this is kind of, it's called like balancing out the scales. It's like accepting how you were, and then accepting the opposite too. Accepting that you may have been doing that to avoid the other thing, you know. Depending on what it is, it's going to be different for each person, but actually I've just been asked to share this with you. Here's just a little question that you could ask yourself. What is the worst thing that has ever happened to you? The worst thing that anyone has ever done to you. Now, this is something that you don't have to answer me, but, you know, be honest as you can with yourself. What is the worst or most painful thing that someone has ever done to you? Okay, so now that you have that in mind, you're acknowledging it, you're validating it. Why did you feel that way? Accept that it happened to you. Love the part of you that experienced it. And now I'd like you to look at what is the worst or most painful thing that you ever did to someone else. Now, a lot of times that is the same thing. You know, it can be in an abstract way. And sometimes it's the thing you did to avoid doing the thing that happened to you. So it depends on which side of the scale you went on, but these energies are usually correlating, and so you can understand then what we just did was we balanced out, you know, your worst trauma received and your worst trauma perpetrated. And these are, you know, going to balance the scale so you can understand both sides exist, and that's building a rainbow bridge. So the next time you have that energy active, whatever the reasons were for that to happen, you can have a choice on how you use that energy. You'll have compassion automatically because you understand what both sides of that are like. And that is basically what you want to do on all of these kind of darker experiences that have been existing on Earth, that were not just yours, that you just happened to come and take a look at. And you're seeing them mostly come up in your relating with other people, where you see the patterns. But they are definitely for transcending. You're definitely equipped to see the truth of a matter. You definitely have a bigger picture view. So these are really dark things. So I can tell that you're a very strong soul, you know, with a big destiny. You came here with a plan. And these people who are showing you these things and acting out these things are pieces of your soul family who've agreed to play this part for you. So even the ones that you've cut off for whatever reasons. Okay? So I hope that you find that helpful. I think that the reason that Spirit would want to tell you this message is just to maybe pop you into a different view of what you've been experiencing. Kind of that bigger picture view, the same way you're going to do for yourself on each of these things. Okay, so knowing there's a higher purpose in the difficulties and challenges that you've been traversing. But acknowledgement also first that it is difficult. Okay? I hope that's helpful to you, and maybe we'll see you next time, File 3. Thank you.